Ali Baba rose before day, and, followed by his slave, went to the baths, entirely ignorant of the important event which had happened at home. When he returned from the baths, he was very much surprised to see the oil jars, and that the merchant had not gone with the mules. He asked Morgana, who opened the door, the reason of it. "My good master," answered she, "God preserve you and all your family. You will be better informed of what you wish to know when you have seen what I have to show you, if you will follow me." As soon as Morgana had shut the door, Ali Baba followed her, when she requested him to look into the first jar and see if there was any oil. Ali Baba did so, and, seeing a dead man, started back in alarm, and cried out. "Do not be afraid," said Morgana. "The man you see there can neither do you nor anybody else any harm. He's dead." Morgana," said Ali Baba, "what is it you show me? Explain yourself." "I will," replied Morgana. "Moderate your astonishment, and do not excite the curiosity of your neighbors, for it is of great importance to keep this affair secret. Look at all the other jars." Ali Baba examined all the other jars, one after another, and when he came to that which had the oil in it, found it prodigiously sunk, and stood for some time motionless, sometimes looking at the jars, and sometimes at Morgana without saying a word, so great was his surprise. At last, when he had recovered himself, he said, "Okay, and what happened to the merchant?" "Merchant," answered she. "He's as much a merchant as I am, and I'll tell you who he is and what has become of him, but you had better hear the story in your own chamber, for it's time for your health that you had your broth after your bathing." Morgana then told him all that she had done, from the first observing the mark upon the house, to the destruction of the robbers, and the flight of their captain. On hearing of these brave deeds from the lips of Morgana, Ali Baba said to her, "God, by your means, has delivered me from the snares of these robbers that they laid out for my destruction. I owe, therefore, my life to you, and, for the first token of my acknowledgment, give you your liberty from this moment, till I can compensate your recompense as I intend." Ali Baba's garden was very long, and shaded at the further end by a great number of large trees. Near these, he and the slave Abdallah dug a trench, long and wide enough to hold the bodies of the robbers. And as the earth was light, they were not long in doing it. When this was done, Ali Baba hid the jars and the weapons, and, as he had no occasion for the mules, he sent them at different times to be sold in the market by his slave. While Ali Baba took these measures, the captain of the 40 robbers returned to the forest with inconceivable mortification. He did not stay long. The loneliness of the gloomy cavern became frightful to him. He determined, however, to avenge the fate of his companions and to accomplish the death of Ali Baba. For this purpose, he returned to town, and took a lodging at a khan, and disguised himself as a merchant in silks. Under this assumed character, he gradually conveyed a great many sorts of rich stuffs and fine linens to his lodging from the cavern, but with all the necessary precautions to conceal the place whence he had brought them. In order to dispose of the merchandise which he had thus amassed them together, he took a warehouse, which happened to be opposite to Kasim's, which Ali Baba's son now had occupied since the death of his uncle. He took the name of Khoga Hussein, and, as a newcomer, was, according to custom, extremely civil and complacent to all the merchants and his neighbors. Ali Baba's son was, from his vicinity, one of the first to converse with Khoga Hussein, who strove to cultivate his friendship more particularly. 2 or 3 days after he was settled, Ali Baba came to see his son, and the captain of the robbers recognized him at once, and soon learned from his son who he was. After this, he increased his assiduities, caressing him in the most engaging manner, made him some small presents, and often asked him to dine and sup with him, when he treated him very handsomely. Ali Baba's son did not choose to lie under such obligations to Khoga Hussein, but he was much strained for want of room in his house, that he could not entertain him. He therefore acquainted his father, Ali Baba, with his wish to invite him in return. Ali Baba, with great pleasure, took the treat upon himself. "Son," said he, "tomorrow being Friday, which is the day that the shops of such great merchants as Khoga Hussein and yourself are shut, get him to accompany you, and as you pass by my door, call him in. I will go and order Morgana to provide a supper." The next day, Ali Baba's son and Kaga Hussein met by appointment, took their walk, and as they returned, Ali Baba's son led Kaga Hussein through the street where his father lived. And when they came to the house, he stopped and knocked at the door. "This, sir," said he, "is my father's house, who, from the account I have given him of our friendship, charged me to procure him the honor of your acquaintance, and I desire you to add the pleasure to those for which I am already indebted to you." Though it was the sole aim of Kaga Hussein to introduce himself into Ali Baba's house, that he might kill him, without hazarding his own life or making any noise, yet he excused himself and offered to take his leave, but, a slave having opened the door, Ali Baba's son took him obligingly by the hand, and in a manner forced him in. Ali Baba received Kaga Hussein with a smiling countenance, and in the most obliging manner he could wish. He thanked him for all the favors he had done his son, adding withal, the obligation was the greater, as he was a young man not much acquainted with the world, that he might contribute to his information. Kaga Hussein returned the compliment by assuring Ali Baba that though his son might not have acquired the experience of older men, he had a good sense equal to the experience of many others. After a little more conversation on different subjects, he offered again to take his leave, when Ali Baba, stopping him, said, "Where are you going, sir, in so much haste? I beg you would do me the honor to sup with me. Though my entertainment may not be worthy to your acceptance, such as it is, I heartily offer it." "Sir," replied Kaga Hussein, "I am thoroughly persuaded of your goodwill, but the truth is, I can eat no victuals that have salt in them. Therefore, judge how I should feel at your table." "Well, if that is the only reason," said Ali Baba, "it ought not to deprive me of the honor of your company, for, in the first place, there is no salt ever put into my bread, and as the meat we shall have tonight, I promise you there will be none in that. Therefore, you must do me the favor to stay. I will return immediately." So Ali Baba went into the kitchen and ordered Morgana to put no salt in the meat, and that was to be dressed that night, and to make quickly 2 or 3 ragouts besides what he had ordered, and to put no salt in them either. Morgana, who was always ready to obey her master, could not help being surprised at this strange order. "Who is this strange man," said she, "who eats no salt with his meat? Your supper will be spoiled if I keep it back too long." "Do not be angry, Morgana," replied Ali Baba. "He is an honest man, therefore do as I bid you." Morgana obeyed, though with no little reluctance, and had curiosity to see this man who ate no salt. To this end, when she had finished what she had to do in the kitchen, she helped Abdallah carry up the dishes, and, looking at Kaga Hussein, knew him at first sight, notwithstanding his disguise, to be the captain of the robbers, and, examining him very carefully, perceived that he had a dagger under his garment. "I am not in the least amazed," she said to herself, "that this wicked man, who is my master's greatest enemy, would eat no salt with him, since he intends to assassinate him, but I will prevent that." Morgana, while they were at supper, determined in her own mind to execute one of the boldest acts ever meditated. When Abdallah came for the dessert of fruit, and had put it in with the wine glasses before Ali Baba, Morgana retired, dressed herself neatly, with a suitable headdress like a dancer, girdled her waist with a silver girdle, to which she hung a poniard with a hilt and guard of the same metal, and put a handsome mask on her face. When she had thus disguised herself, she said to Abdallah, "Take your tabor, and let us go and divert our master and his son's friend, as we do sometimes when he is alone." Abdallah took his tabor, and played all the way into the hall before Morgana, who, when she came to the door, made a low obeisance by way of asking leave to exhibit her skill, while Abdallah left off playing. "Come in, Morgana," said Ali Baba, "and let Kaga Hussein see what you can do, that he may tell us what he thinks of your performance." Kaga Hussein, who did not expect this diversion after supper, began to fear that he should not be able to take advantage of the opportunity he thought that he had found, but hoped, if he now missed his aim, to secure another time by keeping up a friendly correspondence with the father and son. Therefore, though he could have wished that Ali Baba would have declined the dance, he pretended to be obliged to him for it, and had the complaisance to express his satisfaction at what was said, which pleased his host. As soon as Abdallah saw that Ali Baba and Kaga Hussein had done talking, he began to play on the tambour, and accompanied it with an air to which Morgana, who was an excellent performer, danced in such a manner as would have created admiration in any company. After she had danced several dances with much grace, she drew the poniard, and, holding it in her hand, began to dance, in which she outdid herself by the many different figures, light movements, and surprising leaps and wonderful excursions with which she accompanied it. Sometimes she presented the poignard to one breast, sometimes to the other, and oftentimes seemed to strike her own. At last she snatched the tabor from Abdallah with her left hand, and, holding the dagger in her right, presented the other side of the tabor, after the manner of those who got their livelihood by dancing and solicit the liberty of spectators. Alibaba put a piece of gold into the tabor, as also did his son, and Coca Hussein, seeing that she was coming to him, had pulled out of the purse of his bosom to make her a present. But while he was putting his hand into it, Morgana, with a courage and resolution worthy of herself, plunged the poignard into his heart. Alibaba and his son, shocked at the action, cried out aloud, "Unhappy woman!" exclaimed Alibaba. "What have you done to ruin me and my family?" "It was to preserve you, not to ruin you," answered Morgana. "For see here," continued she, opening the pretend Coca Hussein's garment and showing the dagger, "what an enemy you have entertained! Look well at him, and you will find him to be both a fictitious oil merchant and the captain of the gang of 40 robbers. Remember, too, that he would eat no salt with you, and what would you have more to persuade you of his wicked design? Before I saw him, I suspected him as soon as you told me you had such a guest. I knew him, and you now find that my suspicion was not groundless." Alibaba, who immediately felt the new obligation he had to Morgana for saving his life a second time, embraced her. "Morgana," said he, "I gave you your liberty and then promised you that my gratitude should not stop there, but that I would soon give you higher proofs of its sincerity, which I now do by making you my daughter-in-law." Then, addressing himself to his son, he said, "I believe you, son, to be a dutiful child, that you will not refuse Morgana for your wife. You see that Coca Hussein sought your friendship with a treacherous design to take away my life, and if he had succeeded, there is no doubt that he would have sacrificed you also to his revenge. Consider that by marrying Morgana, you marry the preserver of my family and your own." The son, far from showing any dislike, readily consented to the marriage, not only because he would not disobey his father, but also because it was agreeable to his inclination. After this, they thought of burying the captain of the robbers with his comrades, but did it so privately that nobody discovered their bones until many years after, when no one had any concern in the publication of this remarkable history. A few days afterwards, Alibaba celebrated the nuptials of his son and Morgana with great solemnity, a sumptuous feast, and the usual dancing and spectacles. And he had the satisfaction to see that his friends and neighbors, whom he invited, had no knowledge of the true motives of the marriage, but that those who were not unacquainted with Morgana's good qualities commended his generosity and goodness of heart. Alibaba did not visit the robber's cave for a whole year, as he supposed the other two, whom he could get no account of, might still be alive. At the year's end, when he found that they had not made any attempt to disturb him, he had the curiosity to make another journey. He mounted his horse, and when he came to the cave, he alighted, tied his horse to a tree, then, approaching the entrance and pronouncing the words, "Open, Sesame!" the door opened. He entered the cavern, and by the condition he found things in, judged that nobody had been there since the captain had fetched the goods for his shop. From this time, he believed that he was the only person in the world who had the secret of opening the cave, and that all the treasure was at his sole disposal. He put as much gold into his saddlebag as his horse could carry and returned to town. Some years later, he carried his son and his daughter-in-law to the cave and taught them the secret, which he handed down to his posterity, for those using their good fortune with moderation lived in great honor and splendor.